Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for March 17th and 18th. How are you doing? Wow, well, we know we're in really intense times and that we're being called to be really present with what's happening that we don't understand. I can feel this as a big blooming right now of a lot of how these souls have been feeling. That we know that we have a lot of power in our consciousness, and yet this has been so suppressed and hidden from us. And this very frustrating feeling of knowing that you need to do something or want to do something and you're here for a reason, and yet no understanding at all of what that's about. And this is in our face right now because there is so much happening behind the scenes that we don't understand in the bigger picture of what's going on. But on that note, we're in, there's a lot of frustration in these souls kind of being like, okay, we have this big consciousness accessible to us, but we've been completely cut off with how to use it and any support in that. And then now we're being expected to step up and, hold space, and still just like not a clue about what we're really doing here. And I think this energy might be coming because Mercury just moved back into Pisces. So moving along, and it will be, I think we're going to have a huge shift of energy. It just as far as like keeping your eye on the ball through this weird time, when Mercury comes out of its retrograde shadow on the 30th of this month. And a little bit into April, looks like timeline wise, we're going to be in this strange situation, but we know astrologically it fits. We know deep inside of ourselves that it's time for us to be present and hold space for what we're really doing here. But there is this frustration of not knowing. Like, could you just give me a little bit of a clue of what's going on so that, I could hold space? And it's this feeling of being like, knowing that you have this power available to you and yet feeling so infantile in a way, or just like, and that's actually part of the message with this moving into this Aries energy, allowing ourselves to be children of the universe and release and relax and let go of the responsibilities that we've felt. Stay present and be here in the peace and the presence that we're called to do right now. But a lot of unloading of big levels of responsibility energy from past lives and these soul groups, because we need to come back into being children of the universe and find that joy and the playfulness. And of course, that sounds really impossible right now, right? Because everybody around you is like in complete panic and fear. But a lot of what we're being called to do right now is being like, in the consciousness that you're in right now and what you have access to, the car you get to drive right now in this 3D reality, you don't get to know. And more truth is going to be revealed to us, and it's going to make more sense. But we have to connect with our highest self who knows what's going on, and let them drive a little bit and like come back. So part of this whole thing that's happening right now is about what I'm being shown is, even though it looks really bad and it feels really bad, there's this removal of the lower grid and the technological control. And so we're opening up back to our crown chakra, which is our natural state of joy. Like, that's our natural state in our consciousness in existence, is to have a connection, energetically through our crown chakra to feelings of lightness of being, like Abraham talks about, Abraham Hicks, channeled through Esther Hicks, is like, that like we're like a cork, floating above the water. And then these forces of the technological control energies and lower matrix and the lower astral field with the stuck souls and the ghosts and all that ghost army, it just served to like keep us, and for these souls responsibility contracts and carrying heavy energies of the collective consciousness. And so these are being removed right now. And so it's really interesting because, of course, people are self-isolating and doing all of this that we're being told to do right now. And yet, in my experiences out in the world, people are like, they seem happier than they've seen in a long time, energetically, and we need to tap into this energy. And we are being asked to trust in and connect to our highest guidance right now, and trust and kind of let the highest part of ourselves drive. And it's hard because you want to reach out and find the information and, listen to the guidance and stuff like that. But it's not really a time that we get to fully understand. And yet we're being called to be so really kick into gear with what we're here to do. And it's really frustrating, but it's bringing up, this is this feeling of being a powerful soul and yet a helpless human over all these lifetimes and evolutions, and powerless to help this evolution. It's like how you felt. And yet you've been planting seeds throughout your incarnations with your soul groups of amazing projects that it's time to get to work on really soon. It's time to find each other and get to work on. And the energies of control are lightening and lessening. And so this is really interesting with Mercury moving back into Pisces, because it feels like this situation is so important for us to see what could happen if we don't take our planet back. We are being shown the agenda so clearly of control, of police state, of mandatory vaccinations, of taking all of our freedoms away, which is what the globalist energies want to do. And we need to be shown this really, really clearly. And yet their plan is not going as planned. And in fact, it's boomeranging. And more every day in my research and paying attention is the message that something behind the scenes really good is trying to happen. And that's what we're here to do, is to hold space for that, to allow that joy and lightness of being, to tap into these energies that are coming in. But Mercury back in Pisces, it's forward motion now, but it's been in retrograde, And so it's we're being shown the biggest distortions of the Piscean age. The bad dream we've all been living is being shown, expressing itself like those symptoms of the disease. And of course, that message again for these particular souls, that it's time for you to let go of those heavy energies you've been carrying for the collective that you might not have known you were carrying, trying to process this heavy energy, not realizing that you were codependently trying to heal the collective consciousness, trying to work through karma that's not your own, blaming yourself from these past life experiences where you were set up, and that your power was used against you, and so you're all these feelings of being powerless to help the situation and taking on all this pain, the way the Piscean age for these souls is about the martyr, and going into holding this pain for the collective, trying to be a garbage collector and a recycler of collective pain, thousands of souls of their emotional pain. And you're that's your job, and you're not getting paid for that either, and it's not easy work. And the energy right now is that's over now. It's really time. But we have to each decide that we deserve to be free of this energy. And yet that's the only way we get to move forward. And again in sessions, this comes up, and it's loyalty contracts to groups of souls, loyalty contracts to our ancestry, to humanity in general, to the earth evolution. And it's we thought that going down into the bad dream with them was the way to save them and move this evolution forward, but we all got stuck there. And now we have to recognize that the only way we can bring them with us is to first go ourselves. And it's hard because it's especially with these inundation of the panic energy, and it's people are just if you're not feeling the panic, then you're a part of the problem. It's probably your fault, right? And yet it's we know we're being called to emit a different vibration, and that this is a vibrational reality. And we've got to, it's right now, massive opportunity for these souls to give yourself permission to feel good again, finally, and hand back that collective pain, hand back the karma that you've been trying to solve that was actually created by the control energies, and they blamed you conveniently. And now it's time to wake up from a bad dream. And that's what's trying to happen right now. And so we have to kind of be present with the fact that we don't know what's going on. And of course, our little brain wants to know. And if we knew, then maybe we'd be better at holding space. And it's really important we don't know right now. But we do need to tap into that higher part of ourselves that says it's time for you to come and be in the vibration you came here to be in. And that means allowing yourself joy and light and your crown chakra activated, and let go of this attachment to needing to know, because this is so much bigger than we can comprehend, and it will come out, like it will make more sense sooner than we think. But it's also like part of this whole process is bringing up these feelings of being a helpless human the way they want us to feel, the control energies and the global agenda, is to make us feel like we'll just squash you, you little ant creatures, you little feeder beings. We'll just come along and squash you, Oh, ready for another catastrophe, And so there is so much coming to the surface right now. And so today we've got Mars at 20 degrees Capricorn. And that's just 2 degrees away from Jupiter at 22 degrees Capricorn, Pluto at 24. So Jupiter's right there in the middle, right where Saturn and Pluto came together in January, bringing light to what this is all about that we're doing here. Jupiter brings possibility, expansion. It's rather neutral in itself. It just brings more of whatever's going on, but also opportunities. And so in this case, we're looking at the opportunity to break down the structures that are no longer serving us. Because we talked about this like in our individual life, when our more appropriate, ideal divine timeline lands, pretty much our life falls apart because the structures of our life generally don't support that part of ourselves. And then, we're left in total confusion, and the people around us aren't going through it. So we're like feeling insane and isolated, and this world has no support for it. And that's what's happening collectively right now. And so if we can keep our energy on the light coming in, but also that we're waking up from the bad dream, this is like a huge bloom of the subconscious Piscean energy of the lower octave of the Piscean age that's coming to the surface for us to be set free of in the collective. And so we have the North Node exactly at 4 degrees Cancer, and of course the South Node at 4 degrees Capricorn. We've got Uranus exactly 4 degrees Taurus, and Chiron at 4 degrees. Black Moon Lilith not too far away at 5 degrees. Black Moon Lilith is coming off, but we're still feeling that Chiron in exact square to the nodes of the moon, and saying that the only way forward is deep and profound healing of our deepest wounds. And that's what this situation is showing to us, but it's not as it seems. There's a whole bunch more truth, and it's okay in the bigger picture. And we need to hold space for that there's really, really positive things happening. But we can't just, like the positive energies that are trying to create change on this planet can't just go and remove for us this global domination paradigm. We have to say, yeah, no, we're not going to take it anymore. And how are we going to do that if we can't see it? Most of the population doesn't see that we've been in an agenda to kill most of us and take back the planet yet again. These stories that started happening back in Atlantean time. So this deep, profound psychic healing needs to happen. But then we've got Uranus in this sweet, so one sign over from Chiron and Black Moon Lilith in Taurus is Uranus, and Uranus is in that beautiful sextile, 2 signs over from the North Node in Cancer, saying we can do this. It's going to take a radical change in our self-worth and our ability to receive. And that's kind of the thing we're at right now. And like when we talk about our individual process of a more appropriate timeline coming in, our life falls apart. We're in that in between place of like, oh my gosh, the rug has been pulled out from under me. I have no idea who I am. I have no idea what I'm doing. Nothing makes sense anymore. And this Uranus and Taurus sextile the North Node is saying, this is how it makes sense. You got to allow yourself to receive the new energies that want to catch you instead of clinging to the old sinking ship. And that's why this whole situation has to happen, because humanity in general is clinging to the old sinking ship because it's all they know. And it's like, well, yeah, okay, so it's global control, but it's making us feel safe. And if the vaccination makes us feel safe, then go ahead and give us a vaccination. And the vaccination has a microchip in it. And now you're controlled and you're completely part of the matrix, And so this is, but of course, then again, we have to see all of this. It has to come to the surface or we'll just recreate it again later, And so the time is now for this to happen. It is divine timing. There are positive forces really trying to help us right now, and we can help them by getting out of the panic vibration, coming into our heart consciousness and trusting in the bigger picture, and just like holding that light, opening that crown chakra, and like, this is our spiritual ascension. Like we're like, whoa, it's happening now. And when you can just put all of that panic vibration aside and feel these energies coming in, it's really quite amazing. And so that's what we're being called to do together. And so just as far as a timeline on this intensity, Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, bringing the light, bringing expansion of the breaking down of structures, bringing the power together though, like Jupiter, Pluto and Mars both represent power, our lower octave of power, our physical power, our will force of ability to act in the world, which we need seriously, to get a backbone around here. And then we also are having Pluto, which is our psychic power and the unknown power and fear of our power. And those coming together in the structures of the old paradigm. And then, Jupiter bringing expansion and possibility. And so it's time for us to take back our power. And we do that individually, these souls being called to do that by simply claiming your joy, your peace, your knowing that something bigger and greater is happening. And that's your paradigm. That's your vibration. And because these souls are powerful projector souls, which is why they've been so targeted in past lives. And, that's how we talked about. And I'm going to go deeper into this on a video on my other channel, and I'll put links up when I do have that available. But just a little bit more about this control paradigm and how this whole virus has been planned ahead of time, this bioweapon, and it was planted in our consciousness. And then, so that we would create it. The panic is about increasing our susceptibility, showing the global energies of control, trying to exert their power and show us how little smushed creatures we could be. And yet it's also giving us an opportunity for reset on a massive level in a lot of structures. And so we got to sit tight, be present, be in the light, be in the new paradigm, be in the heart space of what we know, why we're here, and do our part to let ourselves have more joy. And so that Jupiter energy is bringing that big expansion. Now Mars comes off of these planets around the 27th. And so just as far as knowing timeline wise, this is going to be quick. It's going to be over before we know it. And we're going to have a lot more clarity about this. And I'll talk about that in more specifics of like what I found out in my research on my other channel that I will give you links once I do have that video up. But that energy we are going to have a massive shift, especially, first of all, we got, the equinox on Thursday. I hope you can consider joining that soul group, the soul group session for the equinox. That's a group intuitive session. These group sessions are so powerful, bring people together and bring the vibration, to just, I feel a shift in the collective when we do this. So I hope you can consider joining that that's Thursday, the 19th, this Thursday at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. So that's going to be a big shift. And then the new moon in Aries, that's going to be very close to Chiron and Black Moon Lilith. So really activating this deep psychic healing and taking back our I am presence, our power, our permission to exist as children of God, held and loved through this experience the way we're meant to be. But Mars comes off of this conjunction on the 27th, around there, and then that Mercury coming out of shadow on the 30th. So just to give a sense of that we're going to be in the soup, right, for this next week, but we're having shifts all along the way, clarity all along the way, insights coming in. But right now we're kind of like, it would be great to know exactly what's happening, but it's really important we don't too. And can we put our little brain aside and let that highest self of ourselves that's hanging out with creation energy, with source, with God, and drive right now, that like wants us to be in joy and in our natural state, and drop all this heavy energy we've been carrying for so long for the collective. So keep in mind, we're waking up from the bad dream. And it's interesting because when you do wake up from a bad dream, where it really affects you, while you're in the dream, you're not really in your body. It's more like you're watching a movie. But when you wake up in your body, that's when you feel the effect of the bad dream, and that's where we are right now. And so just remember that that's it. This is a presentation of old symptoms that have been deep in the subconscious, and they're coming to the surface. And we have to look at it in order to release it and be like, oh, that was just a really bad dream. It's so not true compared to what we're really doing here and the bigger picture of your project and what you came here to do, and what, that's all going to be landing. But right now we got to be in the soup of confusion, which makes sense with Mercury back in Pisces. And yet we can tap into that higher octave of Pisces energy of dreaming the new dream. And that's where being asked. It's like, okay, yeah, there's the nightmare. And you as souls have been living this nightmare in that martyr place, taking on that heavy energy, taking on that darkness, and you can't do it anymore. This is Chiron in Aries. This is the new moon in Aries, and the sun moving into Aries. It's like this strength within, fighting for the true self, and standing up and saying, no more. I'm not going to stay in the chains of this darkness, like down in the dungeon of the Piscean age in my consciousness anymore. Game over, right? And so hopefully this helps the bigger picture, what's going on, and just powerful messages about the power of your consciousness and our consciousness together to hold space for what's really happening, and hold space for the truth and the light coming in, and our crown chakra activation. And so hang in there. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the next Gaia Daily. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.